Is the pawn the strongest piece on a chessboard, or is it the weakest piece? I have a friend that in the political environment right now in the US, we're in the US, it's 2024 election, presidential elections coming up, and he just felt that regardless of what candidate was voted into office, that they would just blow up all of his plans. That he either candidate wouldn't be good for him. He was going down that negative thought cycle. He just felt that with the present economy, it would drag on for too long, that neither candidate really had any substance to them, and that he was just giving up. I knew Joe played chess, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, Joe, what's the most powerful chess piece?" And he said, like most people will say, he said, "The queen." And my response to that was, "Is it?" And he looked at me like I was a little bit out of my mind. And then I asked him, "Okay, so what's the weakest piece on a chessboard?" "The pawn." Again, like I was out of my mind. Like you could see it in his body language, the tone of his voice. He was like, "What are you talking about? This is dumb." And I asked him again. I gave him the same response. "Is it? Is the pawn the weakest?" And then I related that pawn to what he's going through right now. We don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the chessboard. When the pawn starts out, he doesn't know what's going to happen on the other side of the chessboard, right? It's standing there. All of the other chess pieces believe, "Oh, yeah, that's the weak little guy. We just send him out there to get sacrificed. Like, we don't care about him." If you ask people in general in society, they would all say, "Oh, yeah, the pawn. The pawn's the piece that's the weakest." New players, when you're first starting to learn to play chess, the pawn goes out and gets sacrificed all the time. We sacrifice the pawn, sacrifice the pawn. Then all the pawns disappear and then they're exposed. The point is that if you asked 100 people what the weakest piece on a chessboard was, I bet you 99 would say the pawn. Very few would say something other than the pawn. But the pawn is kind of like us. We get filled with motivation. Like, "Joe, you got filled with motivation when you were taking this project on, right?" "Yeah." That's like the pawn. The pawn in chess gets to move two squares. The very first move it takes gets to move two squares. That's like our motivation, right? Like whenever, like New Year's resolutions, things like that. Like we're gonna go out and buy the best running shoes. We're gonna go out and attack the track. We're gonna get our vest and our running shorts and get our earbuds and put our playlist together and buy the best treadmill for the basement. And we're gonna become runners. That's like the pawn taking off those two squares. But then the pawn hits the challenge of reality. The pawn hits the challenge of, we're opening the door and all of a sudden it's raining out. And now we don't want to run. That motivation is starting to disappear. So now the pawn can only go one square at a time. And it feels like that long, just like grind. The pawn's in the grind. He doesn't know what's gonna happen. He's just like trudging along. It's kind of like life feels like a lot of times. Life a lot of times feels like we're just trudging along. We don't think we're making any progress. It's just like one step after the next step after the next step. We just keep bouncing along, and life gets very mundane. It's the life of a pawn. hand grenades going off, fires being created. You got to dodge bullets like, whoo, I dodged that one. How many times have you said that? Whoo, I dodged that one. That was a close one. I dodged that one. That's the life of a pawn. You're just kind of like bouncing along. And then you get to the other side of the board. And the beauty of the pawn is when the pawn gets to the last row, he gets to choose what he becomes. The pawn gets promoted. He could be any piece with the exception of the king. He could be any piece on the board. The pawn makes the transformation from being just a pawn and being able to move just one square at a time, being looked upon as the weakest, as the piece we're going to sacrifice the most, as the piece that doesn't matter. He gets that promotion from all of that hard work he did walking across that board, avoiding all of the hand grenades. On the chessboard, those hand grenades are all the other pieces that can take him and remove him from play. But now he gets to the back row, and now he gets promoted, and now all of a sudden that pawn that was worth nothing, that was the weakest, gets transformed into a beautiful queen and becomes the strongest. Gets promoted to a piece that can move in any direction, any amount of free squares there are. In just one move. So the point of it is when you're feeling stuck, when you're just like in that hamster wheel, kind of doing the same thing over and over and over. As long as you're acting in that consistent manner and you're moving forward, however slow that may be, you're moving forward. It can be better, right? He doesn't know what's going to happen in November. He doesn't know what politician, whether it's going to be Harris or Trump. He doesn't know who's going to be voted into office. But he does know that he can move forward each and every day because things change. Just like on a chessboard. Life is like a chessboard. Things change every move. Every move, something else is happening. Every day, something else is happening. Every day, you're dodging something different. And maybe when he gets to the other side of that chessboard, maybe when he gets to November, he'll have a different perspective because he'll have other information. He will have taken certain actions that will set him up so that it doesn't matter what politician gets into office. He's going to prosper regardless of who's in office. Bounce it across that chessboard. So I told him, I said, listen, I told him my mantra story too. So my mantra story was create a mantra for yourself. And in creating that mantra, you then are able to hit the reset button. So my mantra is not on my watch. And all that does is when I'm starting to feel the butterflies in my belly, when I'm starting to feel the fear rise up into me, I immediately, that feeling I get in my belly, that immediately triggers my mind to say, not on my watch. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. And whether I say it out loud or I say it in my head, when I say that, that's the trigger that tells me to take a pause. And it's no different than when you're driving down the road and you come up to a yield sign, you look left, you look right, it's safe to proceed, and then you proceed. And if it's not safe to proceed, you identify why it's not safe to proceed, and then you proceed. It's the same thing. Not on my watch tells me to slow down for a second, assess what's going on very quickly. Sometimes I do this in seconds, sometimes in split seconds. Other times it takes a couple of hours, depending on what that review process looks like. But I will hit the reset button, slow down, yield, analyze what's going on. It's safe to move forward. If it's not safe, then I'll mitigate the risk in the moment if I can. I use this across all boards. I used it when I was a cop. I used it when I was a fireman. I use it now as a real estate investor. I use, not on my watch, I've been using it for 30 years, and it's never failed me. So I suggested to him that maybe he should be using when he's starting to feel like that depression, when he's starting to feel down on himself, when he's starting to feel like the world is pulling him down. Maybe he should use Be the Pawn. Because the pawn doesn't necessarily know what's going to happen on the next move. All the pawn knows is that if I take another move, at some point in time, I can create a better life for myself, and I can make a transformation into a queen. The pawn bops along, bing, 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 bing. He bops along that chessboard. And he's got to avoid the bishop and the rook and the knight. He has to avoid being taken. He has to avoid all the other pawns. But if he's able to do that, and he's able to fight and claw his way to the back row on that chessboard, he gets to become a queen. Or any piece he chooses. Most of the time, it's the queen. And then he's standing there all proud. His shoulders are up and back. And he's bouncing around the board. And he's adding a ton more value to the game. So I suggested that he comes up with his mantra, and maybe his mantra would be the pawn. So when you're starting to feel that resistance, when you're starting to feel that tug on you, when you're starting to feel that depression, when you're starting to feel like nothing is happening for you, when you're starting to feel like if there wasn't bad luck, I'd have no luck. When you're starting to feel like that, when you're starting to feel frustrated and angry, be the pawn. Be the pawn. Be the pawn. Because the pawn scrapes and drags itself and battles and moves across that board and transforms itself into something great. And you can too. Guys, I always say we live up here in the numerator, not down here in the denominator. Go out there today, be unstoppable, and absolutely crush your day.